and thank you for joining us today. I'm Gillian, the Marketing Manager here at About IT, and our special guest today is Vaughan Proctor, who is the Business Development Manager at Neatstock. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to go through a couple of questions with Vaughan around the Neatstock product, around Sage Inventory Advisor, and how it integrates with Sage Evolution. So firstly, Vaughan, let's look at who is Neatstock and how long have you been part of the team?
Okay, so Neatstock is a business that started in about 2010. They saw an opportunity in the market for mid-market businesses that didn't have the technology that the bigger businesses had to manage stock and optimize their stock levels. So they created this application, which is a cloud application, and then came up with an agreement that they made with Sage to white label a product called Sage Inventory Advisor, which is the application that we're talking about. And that integrates seamlessly with Sage 200 and other Sage products all over the world, and does exactly that. Enables people to manage their inventory better and get better results out of their inventory. I've been with the business for about 6 years, and I've worked with the guys here in Sage in South Africa. I'm the development manager for the African region. And that's really where the application comes from, and a bit more about the business. Yeah.
So Vaughan, you've told us a bit about the company and your background, but when we look at the application itself, what kind of stock holding would a company require in order to have Sage Inventory Advisor?
So I'd say because we're trying to aim this at even the smallest businesses, I think any business with more than, say, R1 million worth of inventory stock holding could be a good candidate for Sage Inventory Advisor. I think the complexities start coming in once you have a big stock holding and how to manage it. It becomes a bit more difficult if there is distribution or manufacturing involved. It becomes very challenging to try and manage your inventory. So I think any small business with, say, more than R1 million worth of inventory would be a good candidate.
Having said who would be a good candidate, what is your preferred client?
Well, again, I would go back to the distribution and manufacturing. Obviously, these are what we call risk multipliers. It becomes a lot more complex to manage inventory in those environments. So we're really effective in the distribution and in manufacturing businesses. But any business really with inventory, they have the same challenges with supply chain. They have the same challenges in trying to keep their inventory levels at an optimal level to make sure that they don't tying up too much cash, and at the same time that they're not stocking out. So I think probably we have about 250 customers here in South Africa, 1,400 worldwide, and they range across the board, all industries that have inventory.
Let's talk a little bit about how Sage Inventory Advisor integrates into Sage Evolution.
So it's not a live integration. We don't integrate directly with the database, so we don't write anything back. All we do is we read information. We have a connector that we put down on the server where the Evolution database is held. That will then read information and push that up to our servers. We typically will run that update once a day, perhaps early in the morning before the business opens, or late at night. That will then populate our servers, and that information is available on a web browser to anybody at any time. So it's very simple, very easy to log on. You don't need any additional hardware or software to run the software. It's all hosted in the cloud.
Great, so you can access it from anywhere, anytime.
That's right, yeah.
So knowing how the solution integrates with Sage Evolution, how long is the average implementation?
So it's actually quite a quick process in comparison to other software products. Because we do everything online and it's a cloud application, we're able to put down a connector and pull your information within an hour or two. We then go through a process of working through the setup of the application, fixing any data errors that there might be that might skew our information. And then we start working through training on the program and getting to the point where the customer is able to use the application, and we can then put them into what we call support, which is meaning we support them online rather than having our team take them through that process. That onboarding process is a very strict 5-step process that we go through, but it's a bit like how long is a piece of string. So sometimes it takes 4 weeks to get through that if we're moving pretty quickly. Sometimes it might take up to 8 weeks to do that as well. So it's not a very long, lengthy process. As I said, it all is done online, and it's very quick to get to that point where you can start using the application and getting value out of the application.
Once the system has been implemented, how long until the forecasting algorithms start working for people to be able to see trends and analyses on the inventory?
Well, that's the great thing actually about Sage Inventory Advisor, is that the information is already there. So when we connect, we pull your sales history, and automatically from that sales history, the algorithms will pick up the trends and forecast 12 months ahead. So you don't need to build sales history for us to be able to apply our algorithms. They work straight away. The classification works straight away. The algorithms pick up the trends straight away and forecast 12 months ahead.
I think in closing, people always want to know about pricing of a product. Would you like to touch on that for us?
Yes, so as mentioned before, we don't work on a user-based pricing, which people are usually quite used to. We also don't pay upfront for the software and pay any licensing fees. It's a SaaS model, so you pay monthly for the application, and we scale that pricing based on the value of the inventory that we're managing. So obviously the bigger the business, the more inventory there is, the more complexity there is, the higher the price would be. But it's a monthly cost, there's no long-term contract, and you can cancel with 30 days notice.
Vaughan, thank you very much for the insight you've shared on the Sage Inventory Advisor with us today.
Thanks, it's been great being here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Guys, if you want to know more about the information we've covered today, please drop a comment in the box below and find out more about how you can streamline your operations with Sage Inventory Advisor. Till next time, bye.